Hey everybody, welcome to Lead Therapy. I think most of you agree when I say that Sheriff Scott Israel should resign and or be fired. And he should just cut his losses and just resign, because what has gone on in his agency is just deplorable. So let's talk a little bit of what we know, and I might give you some information that you don't know. During the shooting, they say the shooting happened for at least a good 5 minutes. And according to reports and them watching video surveillance, that Scott Peterson, the armed resource officer, showed up at least around 1 minute after the shooting had started. So he had another 4 minutes to at least get in that building and try to save some lives and engage the shooter, which he did not. Now, according to Scott Peterson, through his attorney, he said he did not enter the building because first he reports that he got that there was firecrackers. Then when he found out it was a shooting, he thought the shooting was happening outside the building. Now, of course, if the shooting went on for a good 5 minutes and he was there 1 minute afterwards, there were still shots going on. And now this guy was with this agency, or a police officer, for over 30 years. He knows the sound of an AR-15 and a high-power rifle, and when the shots are going off, if he's outside the building, you can definitely know, he definitely knows that it's coming from inside the building. So we all call bullshit on that. Now, according to other responding agencies from around the area, Coral Springs officers say they found Scott Peterson and 3 other deputies outside the school with their pistols drawn, and they were behind their vehicles. And I assume the others were the same way as Peterson, because Peterson told them that the shooting was coming from outside. But if they arrived even with a minute left in the shooting, they all know from the sounds of that AR that it's coming from inside the building. So that we call bullshit and all that. So after Coral Springs officers arrived, they actually entered the building where the shooting was happening. 2 other deputies arrived later, and an officer from the Sunrise, Florida department, and finally other Coral Springs officers arrived as they went inside the building. So other surrounding officers from other departments showed up, and they did their jobs and went into the building, while Scott Peterson and 3 other officers from the same agency did not go in. So I mean, that's just absolutely just ridiculous. Now, some other things that we have found out, that Broward County incident reports show that unidentified callers contacted authorities with concerns about the shooter Cruz in February 2016 and November 17. The first caller said that they had heard, of course this is third-hand information, that Cruz planned on, and the words are, shoot up the school. The information was forwarded to the Stoneman Douglas resource officer, who was Scott Peterson. The second caller said Cruz was collecting guns and knives and believed, in quotes, he could be a school shooter in the making. And Sheriff Israel's department did absolutely nothing to stop this or interview this kid or anything like that. There also was an incident in 2017 when the shooter, Cruz, was involved in a fight with an adult son of a woman he was staying with. And they got into a fight, and Cruz actually punched this kid in the face, which is an assault. And the deputy did not arrest this kid or even do a report. So then again, there is a failure to do anything to get this kid even in the system that could stop him from going out and actually buying these guns legally. Now, what does Sheriff Israel have to say about this when a lot of people are calling for him to either resign or be fired? There has been a letter written from state representatives here in Florida and signed by 70, I think it's 74 other representatives here in Florida, asking Governor Rick Scott to fire him. Now, unfortunately, since the sheriff is an elected official, they have to go through due process, and Rick Scott has ordered the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to do an investigation. So it could take a while, but I think they're going to either suspend or fire him, which they should fire him. Now here's what Scott Israel says about this. He says the armed officer's failure to intervene in the Parkland shooting was not my responsibility. Leaders are responsible for their agency, but the leaders are not responsible for a person. Now I could understand if there is one incident of something happening, but when you have multiple officers not doing their job, not only that day, but years before that, they could have just totally stopped this. Scott Israel, the sheriff, needs to be fired or needs to resign. And that's not even talking about the reports to the FBI as early as in January. So I just wanted to just put that out there. I'm sure some of you heard some of this or most of this, but not all of this. And hopefully soon that Scott Israel will be fired. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.